As a young man, I was just going going to teach high school in Fosan in Guangdong, and was in Hong Kong in May of '89.
You said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. Can you explain that discrepancy?
I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect, and I'm a knucklehead at times.
And as the events were unfolding, several of us went in, and I still remember the train station in Hong Kong. It was a large number, especially European, I think, very angry that we would still go after what had happened.
The question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said.
And it was a very interesting summer, to say the least.
And before we go, because I wish that we had a full hour, I want to give you a chance, because you called yourself a knucklehead this week, to talk about some of your misstatements. Yes. You've modified your story or explained that you misspoke about things involving your military rank, about carrying a weapon in war, your 1995 DUI arrest, using IVF to have your beautiful children, Gus and Hope, being in Hong Kong and China in the summer of 1989 during the Tiananmen events. A lot of people would say they couldn't get away with saying, I'm just too passionate, my grammar's not right, I'm a knucklehead. What do you say to the American people who think, I don't know that I can trust this guy with all those modifications to be the potential commander-in-chief of this country?
Hey.
I was thinking about what you said.
Yeah, stop doing that. Nobody should be thinking about the things that I say.
But so what?
Because otherwise, you're just going to get older and more alone. And you're going to do everything you can to fill that hole with friends and your career and meaningless sex. But
oh, man, he never disappoints, man.
the hole doesn't get filled. And one day, you're going to look around and nobody likes you. And that is the loneliest feeling in the world.
What's up, guys? Your boy Benny. You've no doubt seen the Simpsons meme. Stop it. He's dead already. This, of course, applies to Tim Walz's political career when he told hundreds of millions of people on national TV last week that he's friends with school shooters.
Parents, I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look,
Why are you friends with school shooters? Why? So you're friends with what now? You're friends with school shooters? Can you explain this to me? No, I don't think you can. And everyone is just kind of like pointing painfully at Tim Walz's career, going, come on, man, dude, this is not going to work out well for you. Like when Tim Walz tried to answer about a lie that he told about where he was during Tiananmen Square. Not sure why anyone would brag that they were in communist China when communist China massacred their own people, but Tim Walz had this to say.
Explain the discrepancy.
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protest. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
So you learned a lot. I mean, everyone talks about how awkward that answer is, but what he's really saying is he learned a lot from authoritarian tyrants who are communists, Maoists, and Marxists, and he's excited to practice that here in America. Yes, his answer is actually way worse than the fumble here. Okay, so here we go. Tim Walz just got fact-checked by Fox News' Shannon Bream, and it went about as well as you'd expect. These are, of course, Tim Walz's special facial expressions here. Look at this. Tim Walz going on Fox News for the first time ever, or for the first time in this campaign at least. First time we've seen anyone from the Walz-Harris campaign go on any show at all that's not sycophant North Korea level propaganda. Pretty amazing. And I guess, like, way to go. We should see more of this. Look at this slide. You can see Walz's misstatements. You say lies. Call them lies. Look at this. Hong Kong, military rank, carrying a weapon of war, DUI arrests, using IVF. Ooh, this was an amazing list of lies. He had to confront them himself. And of course, you would not be surprised to find out that he used the "I am an ogre, me caveman, I no speak good." response, argument, excuse. Here we go.
Republicans came out against it long before President Trump indicated he didn't like it either. Listen, before we go, because I wish that we had a full hour, I want to give you a chance, because you called yourself a knucklehead this week, to talk about some of your misstatements. Yeah. You've modified your story or explained that you misspoke about things involving your military rank, about carrying a weapon in war, your 1995 DUI arrest, using IVF to have your beautiful children, Gus and Hope, being in Hong Kong and China in the summer of 1989 during the Tiananmen events. A lot of people would say they couldn't get away with saying, I'm just too passionate, my grammar's not right, I'm a knucklehead. What do you say to the American people who think, I don't know that I can trust this guy with all those modifications to be the potential commander-in-chief of this country?
Yeah, well, I think they heard me. They heard me the other night speaking passionately about gun violence and misspeaking. And I got to be honest with you, Shannon, I don't think people care whether I used IUI or IVF when we talk about this. What they understand is Donald Trump would resist those things. Look, I speak passionately. I had an entire career, decades before I was in public office. They know, and I'm very proud of my 24 years in service and my record. I have never disparaged someone else in this, but I know that's not what Donald Trump does. They disparage everyone. The personal attacks. I will own up when I misspeak. I will own up when I make a mistake. Let's be very clear.
Ooh, baby. I mean, you know, I got to tell you, it's amazing to actually see these guys called. This is why they don't do press that's even remotely fair. This is the job of the press. I don't mind it when the press, not during a debate, okay? During a debate, it is not acceptable. But I don't mind it when the press, when you're doing an interview, like it's your job to call people out when they're lying. Like this is like totally refreshing. Tim Walz says a lie and Shannon Bream checks him on it.
Economists talk about Donald Trump's proposal to add a 20% sales tax will cost $4,000. Okay. That's everybody. That's not me saying it.
And just to note, that is a tariff, which, by the way, this administration not only kept most of the Trump tariffs, but they added their own as well. So that's got to be part of the conversation.
I'm telling y'all, man, this is going to be one of the worst tickets we will ever see in our lifetime. This Harris Walz ticket.
It's nice to see the shoe on the other hand now, isn't it? Yeah. All right. More and more about it. Tim Walz defends signing into law free driver's license, free college, and free healthcare for illegal criminal aliens. Minnesota's great, he says, as people flee his state. That's what the data shows. Watch.
Wall Street Journal says this after you were chosen to join the ticket. As the Democratic governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz signed into law initiatives allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's licenses, qualify for free tuition at state universities, and enroll in the state's free health care program for low-income residents. Are those not magnets to draw people here, many times on dangerous journeys for themselves? And why should your taxpayers in Minnesota or across the states pay for those programs?
Well, that's not the vice president's position, but I will say this. Minnesota ranks as a top 5 business state. We rank as a top 3 state for children living, and we're the top state for healthcare access. I would also add this. We also have some of the safest roads. Look.
Tim Walz then goes on to continue to, I mean, it's the kind of stuff that you can actually get away with on state-run propaganda media. Thank God that we finally have a honest journalist. Shannon Bream's awesome, by the way, on Fox saying, well, no, actually, Kamala Harris has not secured the border. It's been an open border.
The vice president has made it clear that she has policies that make a difference. Her border policies are the most strongest, the fairest we've seen. It's
but now, Governor, you know, a lot of people, including your own party, would not join that statement. There are millions of people who have come here over the last few years that, you know, they see this as an open border.
Well, simply, we have a policy. Donald Trump sees it as a political. Look, James Langford in Oklahoma, the Border Patrol agents, the Wall Street Journal, the Chamber of Commerce, all said pass this legislation. You have to have Congress to authorize 1,500 new border agents. You have to have Congress to authorize DOJ to speed it.
How many times do we have to go over this, buddy? Brother Tampon Timmy, how many times do we have to go over this, buddy?
Adjudications on these asylum claims. Those are things that would actually work. Donald Trump told us for 4 years he would deal with this. He didn't. He didn't build his wall, 2%. Mexico didn't pay for it. This is a real bill that has bipartisan support, it has the experts on board, and it starts to tackle these issues. And we don't have to resort to demonizing people. We don't have to resort to making up or crafting stories, as Senator Vance said he did. Those things were not happening in Springfield, but it doesn't mean that we can't pass a piece of legislation.
And we know what's happening in Springfield. Trust me, everybody knows now what's happening in Springfield. I don't know if he's seen those recent videos hitting social media as I'm recording this, and on this platform as well. And what their Haitian people are admitting now, they are admitting it. Yeah, we know what's going on. As much as they try to hide it, cover it up, spin it, reverse it, throw it back in reverse, neutral, we know what's going on, man. And they think that we're stupid. We know what's going on, Tampon.
To strengthen our border. That's what Kamala Harris is talking about.
Well,
She's talking
Governor,
about solving the problem.
That piece of legislation does include the wall that you guys have been so, you've disparaged that. I mean, the vice president has as well. So I don't know if she really intends to move forward with that. But it was negotiated by 3 or 4 senators, and many Republicans came out against it long before President Trump indicated he didn't like it either.
And we know why.
Oh, and also Tim Walz was asked about supporting terrorist states like Hamas in order to get brownie points and cookie points with Muslim voters in Michigan, right? Anyone who burns the American flag, good with me. And yeah, word salad time. Learn from the best. Kamala Harris, go.
You said in a radio interview that anti-Israel protesters were speaking out, quote, for all the right reasons. You know that some of them are carrying Hamas flags. Some of them are calling for the extermination of the Jewish state. Do you want to clarify your praise for them?
Yeah, I'm certainly not talking about them. I'm talking about the people who understand that we have to end the humanitarian crisis, but they understand we need to return the hostages, bring peace to the region. Look, I will always defend people's rights to First Amendment, but that's not the folks I'm talking about. Those folks are not speaking for the entire group. So I think it's very clear on this. Israel's right, as we've stood with them. Anti-Semitism has no place in this country, and Vice President Harris has been clear about that. I've been clear about it. But the ability to bring a peaceful solution and understand Israel's right to defend itself, the return of the hostages, and Gazans' right to live in peace too is something that we're trying to get to. And that's going to take the leadership that we've seen out of Vice President Harris, being able to hold this coalition together. And again, when Iran launched their missiles this week, she's in the Situation Room. That's different.
Ooh, and just the premiere clip here. Most of Americans think that Kamala Harris's policies are bad for them. What say you, sir? Tim Walz just eggplants. Watch.
Our latest polling shows that 66% of Americans we talked to said that buying groceries is a, quote, major problem for them. And when we asked people about how they feel about the policies of this administration versus the previous, double the amount of people surveyed say that Biden-Harris policies have hurt them rather than help them and their families economically. That's in stark contrast to how they feel when asked about the Trump administration. So what would a Harris-Walz administration do different than a Biden-Harris administration when it comes to convincing people that the economy is going to get better for them because their perception is that it's not?
Well, we saw a blockbuster jobs report this week. We saw interest rates come down, and we've also seen that Vice President Harris laying out a middle-class agenda.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Tim Walz would probably rather be back on the debate station after that interview. Amazing what happens when you have an actual journalist in there.
Yep.
I mean, Shannon Bream's like as
an actual journalist. An actual journalist, man.
Light and as like straight as an arrow as you can possibly get with Fox News. Imagine if they went on like Tucker, Jesse Waters, Greg Gutfeld. Like, imagine what would happen there. They should, though, right? That's what actually hardens you up and makes you better. This is why Tim Walz was destroyed in the debate, because he's never faced a contentious question. It's good, ladies and gentlemen, that this is happening. More of it. And well done, Shannon Bream. It's your boy, Benny. Like,
oh, boy. One of the worst tickets we will ever. I'm telling you, this is going to be the worst ticket, worst performing ticket ever, man. I don't see how anybody's clapping for it.